New SEC matchups. All right. This is just going to be a reoccurring topic on the show because I am who I am, and I believe what I believe, right? So Tennessee, at Oklahoma, Alabama at Oklahoma, Oklahoma at LSU, Oklahoma at Ole Miss, Oklahoma at Missouri, Georgia at Texas. So my prediction in all of this, Texas and OU are going to combine to go 6-0, which would mean that Oklahoma just put Texas on its back, which, is just what Oklahoma has been doing for the University of Texas for the past decade. So this won't be that much different. If you win your game against Georgia, you did your one job, Texas. You did your one job. But don't let Oklahoma go mess around and go 5-0 with what I just told you, Tennessee, Alabama, LSU, Ole Miss, Missouri, because I will never let you forget it. I will not. I will not. Not with that cupcake SEC schedule that you got. And they threw us, but how now and the what for in year one? Good grief. Give me to Christmas. I'm still upset about this one. I'm still upset about this. We're going to talk about me being upset about this one for the foreseeable future. Number 4 on the list, new Big Ten matchups. Now, this one got a little bit more variety. Okay. USC at Michigan. Okay, we already got there. Michigan at Washington. A rematch of the national title game? Sign me up. And that's in October, right? Right when we get to find out who's good and who's not, we get the national title game rematch. I'm really excited about that one. Ohio State at Oregon. Ohio State and Oregon. All right, let me back up here because there's a little bit of history on this one. So my first year at Fox, when I started doing top 25 rankings, one of the things that I wanted to do was make sure that if you won a football game, you got credit for winning that football game. If you lost that football game, you had to eat that. So the thing about Ohio State and Oregon is Oregon showed up without Kayvon Thibodeau and beat Ohio State at the shoe. Duck fans were feeling themselves. Matter of fact, a couple of little boys put the rubber ducky on the O block, right? And we even did a segment about it over here on the show. And then I proceeded to rank Ohio State like a team that lost to Oregon at home. And not unlike Michigan fans in 2022, Ohio State fans in 2021 would never let me forget this one. To which I'm going, hey, look, beat Oregon in Eugene, right? Then we can just keep coming on with the calm. But that Oregon team, man, like Dan Lanning has been on it since he got in Eugene. It's not just that he's been able to go get into the transfer portal, get players, but he's been able to turn those players into outstanding players, right? So going into this season, we're going to miss Bo Nix, but you got Dylan Gabriel and Dante Moore now. You got Jordan James. You got Tez Johnson, right? And Ohio State still doesn't know who its starting quarterback is going to be. I think the Dan Lanning's got to feel great about this one. Autzen is a rocking place. And if Ohio State shows up there like I think they will, and we finally get this game that we thought we were going to get in 2020, I think this could be one of the games of the year. I genuinely do. I think if the defense that Jim Knowles can implement is going to be as good as the one he had in 2023, you get the quarterback situation sorted, run the football, find a couple of playmakers on the outside. This could end up being another classic, not unlike Oregon versus Washington, the first time, week 7 in 2023. Next on the list, Penn State at USC. Again, a Rose Bowl matchup. That's one of the things I love so much about the new Big Ten. It used to be things had to drop right for us to get a Penn State at USC or in LA, right? Now, rather than going to the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, just go show up at the Coliseum. So we get James Franklin versus Lincoln Riley, and we get Andy Kotelnicki versus D'Anton Lynn, right? And we get Tom Allen versus Lincoln Riley. I'm really excited about this one. I am genuinely excited because Penn State is reaching Texas territory where they are doing the least with the most. Every time I talk to Penn State fans, they always believe that they should be better than they are. You won 10 games in 2023. Yes, RJ, but we have not beat Ohio State and Michigan in the same year since 2016. Micah Parsons was a sophomore that year. And by the way, that was a long time ago. We're talking about Micah Parsons being the first player since Reggie White to have 13 sacks in 3 consecutive seasons to enter the league. It's been that time. I don't know that beating USC is going to get you any closer to beating Ohio State and Michigan, but you get my point. I think that's going to have a lot to say about who gets to play in that Big Ten Conference Championship. And Penn State doesn't have to play in a Big Ten East anymore. So you got that going for you. You got to go through USC and Ohio State and Michigan. You know what it is. You know what it is. And Penn State fans already just turn this off. USC versus Wisconsin. I'm going to be excited about that one again. Madison, we covered it, but SC is really going to get the real Big Ten experience, I guess is the point to make here. The prediction that I have in this one is the Big Ten produces its first Heisman winner since 2007. That is a topic that I find fascinating because Marvin Harrison Jr. just became the first Biletnikoff Award winner at Ohio State since 1995. And it had me thinking, okay, as Michigan just won the college football playoff national championship and didn't really have a Heisman finalist, feels like now that we got Lincoln Riley coaching in that conference, along with Ryan Day, along with Dan Lanning, along with Kalen DeBoer, to go along with perhaps Jim Harbaugh, we're gonna just go ahead and say Jim Harbaugh still head coach of Michigan. I think we got the real prospect of having a Heisman winner come out of that conference because it is just that deep. And perhaps in this reign of terror by SEC schools, for which Oklahoma is one. So I'm just going to count them in all of this. But I think we're going to see some great individual play. And if we see some great individual play, we'll have a Heisman winner, unlike a Heisman finalist like Marvin Harrison Jr., who's playing a dependent position. We'll probably get into the quarterbacks being the guys that get lifted up for that award come December 2024. Then number 3 on our list of things that I am most looking forward to in 2024. This is the first year of the expanded college football playoff. Now, presently, it is a 6+6 model. 6 automatic bids for conference champions and then 6 at-large bids. We expect that to change. We expect that to go to 5+7 or 5 conference champion automatic bids and then 7 at-larges, because when they first did this, the Pac-12 was still very much the conference of champions. Now the Pac-12 is defunct. I never thought that I would see that day. Like, I'm being really sincere when I say this, but I don't think that you are going to lift up, say, the American or the Mountain West for that spot. I also think that this is going to give the selection committee and us, quite frankly, a lot more leeway in who we want to be in the college football playoff, so you ain't got to call the feds because FSU fans don't know how to act. I'm not going to condone that. That's offsides. That's offsides. Stop doing that. But I think that we can give ourselves as much room to make sure that we get the best 12 teams in that we also want to see play football. This is going to go a long way toward that, right? It also makes room for things like Liberty to get stomped out by Oregon, just not in the Fiesta Bowl, right? We'd also get into a conference champion who is undefeated coming out of all of those group of 5 conferences being considered, right? Now, we also know the score. We know that the stronger conferences should get automatic bids, but also, what are going to be the unintended consequences of this move, right? Like, I think on paper, like everybody else, this is a good idea. I've always wanted a for real playoff in college football. I don't subscribe to what the old people say when they're talking about, it used to be that you could just argue about who the national champion was. It used to be that we didn't care who the national champion was. We made it regional. Nah, to hell with that. I've been watching television, college football since I was a child. College football has been on TV, both on cable and on broadcast. Long gone are the days when, oh yeah, you'd read about perhaps Michigan playing for the opportunity to claim a national championship in the Rose Bowl or even the Holiday Bowl, right? People saying we let BYU claim that championship in 1984 because they won the Holiday Bowl. I'm going, nah, man. I love what the NFL does. I love what high school football does. I love what literally every other major sport does. Have a for real playoff system. Now, because we are in year 156, when we are about to implement this change, I think we're going to see some unintended consequences of the likes of which some might be cool, some might not. Might be cool to have not just the blue bloods in it, but if you finish 3rd in the Big Ten, you still got a shot to get into this thing. If you finish 4th in the SEC, you still got a shot to get in this thing, right? If you made the Big 12 title game, you still got a shot to get in this thing, right? And you'll give us more games that matter while also limiting the number of bowls that are just on television to be on television, because I could go into this, but ESPN basically engineered all of these bowls later and we gave us more things to watch. And now it's just cluttered because we got the early signing period, we got the transfer portal, and the NFL has expanded to 17 games, right? We cannot act like the ground beneath us has not shifted. Now, another unintended consequence of this is could end up with an 8-4 team in a 12-team playoff, and we could end up seeing what has sometimes happened in the NFL where you just decide to rest your starters because you know that you're going to play in the conference championship. The way I look at this is Georgia plays Georgia Tech. Many people think that Georgia Tech's second team should be able to beat Georgia Tech most years. However, if you are undefeated and you have an opportunity to run the table, do you care to if you're the Georgia Bulldogs, or are you just going to try to save what you got, keep your powder dry, and take it in the conference championship where you're absolutely going to have to play your best ball to win that automatic qualifier to the college football playoff? Which leads me to my prediction on this. I don't think we're going to see a team go undefeated in 2024. One is what I just laid out for you, right? If we get into a position where people can rest their best players, they will, especially given what injuries can occur and do occur to some of the stars in this sport. But also because we got so many new teams playing each other, right? You're going to have to pull film on teams that you've never played before, and you're going to have to go back to TV copy. I think we're going to find out that there's a lot more variance, but also that's going to mean the season is a lot more unpredictable. And because of that unpredictability, and we're going to have more teams playing more meaningful games in a 12-team playoff, I just think the likelihood of seeing a 15-0, 16-0 conference national champion is just not great. I think it would not shock me that Michigan is the last undefeated national champion we see for quite some time. And you know what? I'm fine with that. I love that we demand perfection, but I love that we demand perfection because we don't have that many opportunities to play for championships, right? If you expand the playoff or extend, depending on what kind of grammatical Nazi you want to be, I don't, and I'm an English professor, then you're fine with this, right? I think that this is going to be good for the sport. I think this is going to keep the sport intact and also help to nationalize it in a meaningful way. If you like what you've seen, consider subscribing to the #1 college football show on YouTube, the Fox Sports app, or wherever you get your podcast.